Welcome back to AI Today. I'm your host, Dr. Alan Badeau. We've been talking about AI and the tools that we use to, either accelerate something that we're trying to do in our daily lives or track something a little bit better or dive into it. But when you start to think about how's a business going to use it, well, that's one piece. But then how are you going to use it internally for your teams? How are you going to roll it out to your teams? Generally you have an IT strategy and you'll stick to that. But because AI is so new and we're always trying to focus on the users, it really is a little bit scary for a lot of managers. And how are they going to integrate that into their day-to-day activities? And so, we're lucky enough to have back to the show Jen Gaudet, who is AI extraordinaire. You can find her everywhere on LinkedIn. She is probably one of the most sought out AI advisors out there, and she's going to help us pull that onion back and help you feel a lot more comfortable as you roll that out. Jen, thanks for being on the show this week.
Absolutely a pleasure. Happy to be here.
Yeah, so we've got our tool set, Jen. We're ready to go. How do we pick the people that we're going to actually let use it that first time so that we don't scare off everybody else that we want to use it?
So first things first, if we are the entrepreneur owner, if we're the executive, we need to be transparent that it's coming and understand that we're going to have a couple of different responses. When we say, hey guys, we're going to leverage AI, you're going to have the people who go, yes, I can't wait. This is so exciting. I've been waiting to have this opportunity. And we're going to have the people who are going to sit back and they're going to go, there is no way you're going to get me to do that. I don't trust it. I'm afraid of it. It might replace my job. I'm going to sabotage it. So we're going to, and we'll have everything in between. So
Yes.
let's address what does that mean for us as we try to integrate? Well, we have to get buy-in, and we're never going to buy in from these people right off the bat. We have to just accept that that's the case, and we have a job. We have to overcome their fears. Maybe it's I'm old and I don't want to learn new tricks. Maybe it's a fear of whether I'm going to be capable of doing it. There's a whole lot of fear, and we have to unpack that. But that's not who we're going to necessarily start with. Those people, when you say, hey, look, I'm bringing in this application, and they go, yes, I can't wait for this. What we are going to do is we're going to take those people, and they are going to become our brand ambassadors of this AI integration. Why? If they're excited about it, if they've been reading about it, if they've been playing with it in their downtime, then they are going to be very hungry to learn. And that's our user experience. They'll help us, give us feedback. They'll dive in and they'll start using the technology first. Okay. And what these guys are going to do is they're going to watch, and they're going to fall on their face, and I'm going to be the one still employed. That's exactly what's going through their mind. I've done this a bazillion times. You're going to have the people who are fearful, and they're just waiting to see the first people who do this fail. However, when our brand ambassadors are in and they're learning, yeah, they're going to have some mistakes and all along the way. When they succeed and all of a sudden they're able to accelerate their production, then these people start looking and go, maybe I can do this. Maybe there is something. And when we do this and we start to see that shift, we have our brand ambassadors trickling down, teaching the next level. So there's always the people in the middle, right, that are not gung-ho, but they're also not back there. They're kind of neutral, and they're like, I'm not sure, and they need a little bit more help. We're going to talk to them, and we're going to say, okay, what are your misgivings? What are the challenges and what are the fears that you have? And we're going to work with them, and we're going to pair them with our brand ambassadors. Because a brand ambassador who's got it is going to be a better endorsement than, the CEO who signs their paycheck. So we're going to help layer in, and it's going to trickle down. And as those middle people come, you have more people who are exposed who can help lift the people up who are waiting until the very end and needed that extra assurance that, hey, look, these people are not losing their jobs. They're able to do this faster. And I hate doing this anyway. So I guess it's time for me to get on board. We're still going to talk to them about their fears and address that, but we're going to wait on them. They're going to kind of be like the third phase of integration so that they can see the proof in the pudding that this is going to work and it's not going to be a real big hassle. And what that does is it helps them from micromanaging the entire process. And Alan, you and I were talking about the people who check, and they don't trust it.
That's right.
Mitigate that problem so that you don't have extra work above and beyond learning the tool and how to integrate it. And it helps mitigate some of their fears before we have to physically address them.
Yeah, and that's so important. If you don't have that first set that you are going to make successful, that they're going to use it, that they're going to really be your messenger, then you're dead in the water right there. And a lot of companies struggle with that because they haven't either planned for it the right way or they haven't picked the right people. What I tell folks when I'm, rolling out, these kind of tool sets, ask them what they do during their day. And if you've hired an engineer and you want the engineer to design stuff, he's probably spending 60% of his time doing non-engineering stuff that's not really what you hired him for, because there's all that other stuff in the back. So figure out a good process, figure out a good pilot for those guys to come through on. So when you do have that portfolio of people that are really your messengers, do you pick them from the same team? Do you always start with the HR folks, or do you always start with the engineers? What kind of advice do you have for business owners that are trying to get it spun up on these things? What's that demographic really look like?
So I'm going to say you don't want an echo chamber. So you don't want them all in one film. And if we've already picked an integration and we haven't talked to our team and decided who our brand ambassadors for this implementation are, we're doing it wrong. We have to talk about that before we pick what we're going to do and before we set that engineering piece and process. Because if you don't have any brand ambassadors, if you have no one excited about this, it's not going to be a good integration.
Yeah, it's not going to go well.
So it's doing that work in the beginning. And I'm a big fan of bringing anybody who it's going to impact to the table and finding the most excited people and taking a random smattering of them and creating that sort of board. That way you don't have an echo chamber. You have the engineer who's like, wait a minute, I need to know what's the worst case scenario. I'm excited about this, but I'm going to contingency plan. And I want the salesperson who's going to be the one who's going to rile up the team and be able to really say, hey, look, this is what happened. This is the result. And I no longer have to do any of this mundane stuff. And I want to highlight something else that you said, because I think it's really, really important. When we go to our team prior to considering an integration, whether it's any tech that's been out there or AI, or really any change in process, when we go to our team, it's important that we ask all of them, what are the things that if I took that off your plate, you would love your job. It would immediately improve your satisfaction and your desire to get here each day and do your job, because they will tell us. And then we use that as leverage. And so the grumpy people we were talking about earlier, if the mundane task is the same and we solve that problem for them, we're going to get faster buy-in. So it's really worth, just like with everything else in business, when we go to our teams and we find out what are the things that they hate to do that are repetitive or that we can give to AI, and we make the decisions based off of what's going to free their time so they can do what they love more of, everybody wins.
Yes.
So I just wanted to kind of enhance that and highlight that, because it's so incredibly important that we are looking at our teams as the first client, because happy team members mean happy clients, mean happy business owners.
That's exactly right. And if you look at the dynamics that are taking place today, even with the longshoremen going on strike, it's not because of pay. It's not because of health insurance. It's because they're worried about automation and nobody's talked to them about it. And there's no plan for anybody to talk to them about it. It's scary. And so that's really where you've got to have some sort of, like everything else, bad data in, bad results out. If you have a bad organization that, won't talk to each other, your results aren't going to be very good, either. And so how do you help executives really overcome those challenges to really allow people the freedom to be able to express their opinions openly early on in the process so they can really get buy-in?
Well, the first thing is communication and creating I call it a psychologically safe space. I know that's kind of like a woo-woo buzz term right now, but it's so true. I'm Gen X. So I came from there's no emotion in business. It's all business. Yep. That's a very different business climate than what we live in. We have to create a space for conversation with our employees, our team members, that they feel psychologically safe to bring up their concerns. And we have to actually listen and validate their concerns. And that's something that a lot of leaders have forgotten about along the way, or maybe they were not really good at it. We see a lot of, and I'm not picking on engineers, but traditionally speaking, engineers are not the best communicators.
No, we're not. We're not.
Group. You know, super amazing skill sets, but that's not a strong point. So what we do a lot of times is we do coaching at the executive level and at the managerial level from a leadership standpoint on how to create that safe space, the open-ended questions. And we actually, it's almost like we're training them to be coaches so that they can draw out in a way that doesn't feel confrontational what the concerns are, so that we can actually have the leverage in the negotiation as we decide to push forward and attack or take our business to a new level, or even and we see it a lot in exit. I do a lot of exit and mergers and that kind of thing. And so it is a conversation, and that's where communication is everything. Training people on, some people say it's innate. Charisma is not necessarily innate. We can learn that. No. It's a skill set. And it's about active listening, learning how to communicate in a way that's clear, concise, compassionate, and going to give that validation to the fears and hear what people are saying, and then say, great, I hear, I understand, and this is the direction we're taking now. And that's really, it's a process, but that's where coaching really comes into play. And having that outside objective perspective is tremendous in these situations.
Yeah, and you know what you just said is so important. You know, executives always forget that the human element of AI, because it's so communicative around, you know, how it says things, how it interacts with the users, they forget about that human element. And it's easy to pick the tool. It's hard to convince your team that they really should leverage it, use it, because it's really a pair. It's a team. You're trying to increase your capacity to do more work, not necessarily replace folks. And, you know, that's a tough message. It's a hard message to sell. You got to do it early, and don't try to do it yourself. If you're, especially, I'm the first one to say, as an engineer, not my forte, just like, you know, poems, drawings, that sort of stuff. No, I'm not good at it. I know that. Go get some help. Call Jen. She'll be able to help you, you know, as well. Jen, where can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, so the easiest way to get in touch with me is LinkedIn. Send me a DM, follow me. I answer all of my messages. It might take me a little bit of time, but I do that. And then, of course, come watch the show, Power CEOs. It airs on Mondays on this network. I'm always interviewing industry leaders, movers and shakers, and we talk about what's working and what's not in business so that we can all grow together. And that's always a resource for everyone here.
Well, thank you for that. Great having you on the show again. And everybody stick around for our next segment. We'll be right back.